Welcome back, guys. It's Monday night. What if I told you this is going to be an extension on mine from a couple nights ago about performance improvement plans in the workplace? And of course, as I said earlier, these are really just them giving you the heads up that they're going to fire you. And this happened to me last week, 2 years after I had survived one. And so a performance improvement plan officially is officially a plan to improve an employee's performance, but what it really is them saying we don't want you here anymore, and they will eventually find a way to actually get rid of you. And in my case, it was just waiting out 2 years while I met the performance metrics and still getting the boot. Now I will. My additional point for tonight is, what if I told you that if this happens to you, you should not only go looking for a new job, but all the traditional practices of doing it while hiding it, you should throw that out the window. I think, as far as finding another job is concerned, they know that you're going to be doing this to protect yourselves. There's no reason to hide it or basically play footsie with it. If you're going to go on an interview, let them know. If you're going to be taking time off of work, you basically just say, you know what, I need to do this job interview. There's no reason to hide it. Unlike a traditional job search, or if you're already working somewhere and you traditionally go looking for a new job, there is no reason to hide it in this instance. If you're under a PIP, they want you gone. And so if you tell them that you're going to be interviewing for a different job outside of the company, they probably will be happy to hear that. There's no reason to hide this. And in my particular instance, that was my mistake. I tried to be professional and courteous on how I went looking for another job. I was never successful because I never got my schedule balanced correctly. I tried to consider my work that I was doing in scheduling interviews or phone interviews or anything like that. I should have just taken the paid time off that I had already accrued and just said, hey, look, guys, I need to do this job interview. And there was no reason for me to particularly care about my workload or even the customers that I was serving. I should have just did it and gone full bore. So this is the first that was really the only mistake I've made in this entire situation, was just not going out there and going guns blazing. I should have just went out there guns blazing, setting up interviews and letting my employer know exactly what I was doing. Because I don't think they're going to be surprised I don't necessarily care about the company and the business at hand. So that is my point for tonight. If you were put on a performance improvement plan, you have no loyalty. You owe the company nothing. And in fact, the one thing I did was going to do right was, if I did get offered another job, no notice. There was I owed that company nothing. And so if another employer wanted me to start the next day, I was going to go. Now, I was also instructed by an attorney that, if a company wanted me to give notice, I should have at least offered it. And I should have just left that decision up to my next employer. That said, if you're on a PIP, it's likely that if you announce that you are going to leave, they're just going to send you going right away. I believe that was what happened to a couple of people in my previous company, is that they quit and then they were just told to go. The company does not owe you the ability to finish out your time either. If a company wanted me to give 2 weeks notice, what the plan would have been to continue to work for the 2 weeks, but not tell my employer anything, and then just walk out one day when that 2 weeks was up and immediately go to the next employer on the spot. Because the company, in a situation where you're under a performance improvement plan, and if you decide to leave, they're just going to send you going. There's no reason for them to allow you to stay. If you're going to a competitor, that goes double. So that is a confession of my mistake that I made after getting the PIP, or getting placed on a PIP, was I should have just not even considered the business needs. I should have just said schedule interviews for whenever other employers were willing to have them, and should have considered their needs on scheduling, not my present company's needs. That's Jason's advice for the day. If you're in the PIP situation, you do not need to consider your present employer for anything. Interview scheduling, 2-week notice, none of that stuff. And they likely, if you announce that you are going to leave, they will send you out immediately, because the intention from the jump was to have you fired. Now, why do companies make you drag it out? It's pretty simple, actually. If your position gets eliminated in a job reduction or restructuring, which is probably going to be the eventual case for this company and for these positions of the ones that I was in, AI will eventually take over things, and these positions will eventually be eliminated. However, if my job was eliminated that way, according to the company's own policies, they would have owed me about 5 months of severance pay and full benefits the entire time. They were not going to they were not going to allow that to happen. Now, waiting it out and having it carry on until last Wednesday's termination created the second situation, which is that I'm going to be collecting unemployment. And of course, companies don't like this to happen necessarily, but it's preferable to paying severance and benefits for several months. So this is the second best situation for them. Would be to have an unemployment claim against them, which will increase their premium to the state, in my case, Minnesota. Now on the other side, now you go to the next step, which is their preferred outcome, which would be just for have you quit and leave on your own, and they owe nothing. Of course, I wound up in this middle ground because I worked to try to meet their requirements, met the requirements, and got fired anyway. And going through that, of course, I'm going to wind up collecting unemployment, which will get me about 2/3 of what I was making. The max in Minnesota, that's what it'll get me, which combined with my side hustles, I will be fine. So anyway, if you're on a PIP, you go searching for a new job right away, and you don't have any of those traditional courtesies or considerations while doing so. Interview whenever you want, or not even whenever you want, whenever the other company needs you to. You meet their schedule. Don't meet your current companies. You interview whenever the other employer needs you or wants you to come in. Don't consider the work that you're doing. Don't consider your workload at your present company at all. Do not consider your present company in any means possible, because they want you gone. They want you to just walk out and leave. And if you walk out and leave on your own term, after finding something else on your own, they owe nothing. Now, in my case, they will take a claim or a premium increase on their unemployment insurance done through the state of Minnesota, which is still far superior to them owing me 5 months of severance and benefits. So I wound up in the middle. I'm not going to starve. I'm not going to go hungry. In fact, I'm going to come out of this okay. And now I have, months of unemployment benefits to go out there and find a company that will actually appreciate my skills and efforts. And not the company that I just got let go from, which is honestly a cruel employer. They treat their people like commodities, not as people. So anyhow, that's it for tonight. I'll see you guys again tomorrow. I don't know which direction I'm going to go with it, but I'll think of something. I'll see you guys later. Peace out, homies.